started now. Welcome to the Hidden Key to Trading Success webinar. My name is Robert Morris, and I'm VP of Institutional Sales at Lightspeed Trading. First, I have to start with the risk disclosure. Please keep in mind that this presentation is for informational purposes only. Nothing presented today should be construed as investment advice or a recommendation to buy, sell, hold any specific securities. Since we don't know everybody's investment objectives or risk tolerance, we are not endorsing any specific trading strategy. We also encourage you to ask questions as we go through the presentation, as you can do that by typing into the webinar chat box as we go along. We'll try to answer them as we go or answer them at the end of the presentation. The presentation will be recorded and uploaded to our online webinar library. You'll be able to see this as well as most of our other past webinars online at lightspeed.com/webinar. So if at any point during the presentation you miss something or you want to go back and reference it at a future date, you can always go to our website where it will be archived. If you have any specific questions about what you're seeing, please feel free to contact Andrea Weiland at awyland@yahoo.com. That's AWYLAN@yahoo.com. Or for any questions about Lightspeed services, me directly at robert.morse@lightspeed.com. Now I'd like to introduce Andrea. Okay. Now I'd like to introduce Andrea Weiland. Andrea is a trading success coach and holds a professional coactive coaching certification from the Coaches Training Institute. She comes from a background of business management with 17 years as a professional coach and 7 years as an active day trader. After coaching leaders, entrepreneurs, and others for many years to achieve their goals, she now focuses primarily with traders. With her emphasis on the trader's mindset, she guides them through the multiple facets of this discipline, enabling them to trust themselves and their trading. With Andrea's guidance, her clients are able to follow their plan, stop losing money, and finally become profitable. Many have reached new levels of success. Now I'm going to pass the screen to Andrea. And I'll pass the presentation to her.
Okay, super. Thanks so much. Can you see this okay?
I can.
Good. Just to get clear, I see a button that says start recording that hasn't been pressed. Is that something else, or do we?
It's recording.
Okay.
So we're good.
Super. All right. Robert, thank you so much for the introduction, and I want to thank Lightspeed for having me. I really appreciate being here, and I'm excited to be talking about this topic. It's such an important topic for traders, and it doesn't really get a lot of visibility. When you go to trader expos and in trading education, there's not a lot of conversation or support around your mindset and your psychology, and that's the part that we're going to be focusing on. Hang on just a second. I'm going to change something on my screen. Okay. There we go. Okay. Here's my disclaimer. I'm not giving any financial advice, obviously. And I also want to point out, some of you guys are joining us by webinar, and some of you are joining us by telephone. And so I'm going to try, if someone's not muted yet, could you mute, because I'm hearing other noises. I'm going to try to read the screens as much as I can, so those of you joining us by telephone are able to get as much information as you can. So welcome to the hidden secret. This is the real key to your trading success. And I'm going to pause for a second. I'm still hearing noises. Is someone on not muted? Maybe I need to get rid of that box. Okay. Sorry about that, you guys. We're getting the kinks worked out. So the hidden key to trading success is really in the mindset. It's in your psychology. And there's a couple of ways that this is hidden. one is kind of what I was saying before. It's not really talked about. It's not a big part of what you learn when you learn how to be a trader. It's not real visible. When you go to a Traders Expo, there may be one person giving a talk on this topic. And even then, I've listened to some of them, and they're not actually talking about trading psychology. So it's not a big part of what is important in the industry. It's also hidden from ourselves, because a lot of what I'm going to be talking about today are things that you're probably not even aware of. So there's things happening inside of us that are affecting our trading that we don't even know about. And I think this is a big reason why a lot of traders are not successful. The stats show us that maybe 10% of day traders are successful at best. The odds are not real high. And a big part of the reason for this is because of what's happening in our mind, our emotions, our fear and our greed and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to talk about that today and show you a couple of examples specifically of how this works, so you can start to see in your own trading how this might be affecting you and how it might be slowing you down from the success that you're looking for. So I just want to give you a little bit about my background in coaching and in trading. I started coaching about 17 years ago. I got certified as a coach, and most of the work that I've done in that time has been with business leaders, entrepreneurs, individuals looking to make changes in their lives. And it was the last three or 4 years or so I've really started focusing on working with traders, because I am a trader myself. I know gone through all of the mistakes. I really understand how difficult and stressful it is. And I've made the choice to work with traders to help you through those kinds of challenges, because it's really actually very difficult. It's very easy to put on a trade and make money, but the emotional part of it is really difficult. So you can see my website, innerworkscoaching.com, if you want to check that out. There's a specific page that is focused on trading. And you can take a look at my blog, Creating Enlightened Traders. And you can just Google that. And most of what's on there are tools and techniques to help you with the things that we're going to be talking about today, to get you started on this path to really getting more clarity about what's happening in your mindset, how important it is, and what you can do about it. At the end of this talk today, I'm going to invite you to contact me if you want to have a private one-on-one session with me. It's a 30-minute, it's a free session, no obligation for anything, but just to talk about your trading situation specifically, what's going on for you and how you might start to turn it around. I'm also, as Robert said, I'm open to questions. If there's something that comes up today for you that you don't understand, please feel free to contact me. I'm happy to try to help you with that. So what does it take to be a successful trader? This is my own version. This is what I've come up with on the simplest of terms, the 3 things that it takes to be a trader. The first one is a trading platform, a brokerage, and you guys have Lightspeed. The second one is the trading system. You know, what are you going to trade consistently over time to make money? And the third one is the healthy trader mindset. So a lot of, at least some traders will get the trading platform. They'll get so they can buy and sell and see the charts and make decisions and stuff, and that will be the end of it, right? They'll just start trading. That's not the best way to be successful in this business. You want to have number 2. You want a proven, profitable trading system where either you can back test it and know it works, or you have a friend that uses it, or you've learned it through some kind of an educational system, and you know that if you follow the rules and you do it consistently, you're going to make money. The challenge that we have is following it consistently. So ideally, you want to have it in writing, and you want to be very clear this is where I get into a trade, this is where I get out, this is my loss and my target, and all that good stuff. What happens to traders is they start with the trading system, and even if they write it down, and then they change the rules midstream. So let's say, you know, you get into a trade, you have a stop loss at $100, and the trade gets to -50, and you start getting fearful and you don't want to lose money, and you decide to bail on the trade and you take a $50 loss. And maybe the trade goes down and it would have stopped you out at 100, and maybe it wouldn't. But you've just let your fear override your trading system, right? Trading systems don't work unless they're followed, and that happens all of the time. You know, you'll have a friend who can trade something consistently, and you can't trade the same system because your emotions get in the way. And that's where the healthy trader mindset comes in. That's your psychology, it's your subconscious. We'll be talking a little bit more specifically what's going on there and what's getting in the way. So why are only 10% of traders successful? 10%, 5%, whatever it is, whatever the numbers are, it's pretty low. This is it. It's because we haven't mastered our mindset. We're not clear about what's going on inside of us and how to deal with it, how to fix it. So we're going to look at this today and give you some tools, some things to practice, some things to start to get you on the way to shifting this. So I want to take a second and just see who's in the room. And if you'll just type into the question or the chat box or whatever it is, how long you've been trading and what kind of trader you are. And for those of you on the phone, just bear with us for a moment. Are you a day trader, swing trader, investor? You've been trading for a number of months, years? Are you a newbie? Just so I can get an idea of who's here. 5 years, 1 year, 10 years, great. 3 years, swing trader. Couple years, 15 years. Most of you have some good experience. That's great. Day trader, short term, 3 months. Okay, thank you so much for that. So the shorter the time frame generally of the trading, if you're a day trader and you're getting in and out, typically the emotions are going to be more of an effect on you. Okay. The next thing that I would ask you to look at, you don't have to put anything in the chat box about this, but just for yourself, just think for a moment, have I created the success that I desired when I got into this business, when I started investing or trading or whatever level it is that you're doing that at? Have I created what I wanted to? Have I created the success? Where am I on that? And just keep that in your mind. I'm going to give you a couple of questions today to start thinking about, and start looking at. And so the next question I'm going to ask you to think about, and again, you don't have to put this into the chat. Am I clear about what I want? You know, am I looking to pull out $100 or $200 a day out of the market? Am I looking to be a professional trader that can give up my day job and do this every day for the next 20 years and create a good living? Some of the people I work with want to do that and then open a hedge fund and create money for other people. Is that something that's interesting to you? Do you have clarity about this, and do you have it written down in a trading plan? You know, we hear sometimes that it's a good idea to have a trading plan. We want to have our trading strategy in there, and you want to have your goal in there. So I would invite you, if this is something that you haven't done, to spend some time doing it. You know, if you're in New York and you want to go to California, you don't just get in the car and head west. Some of you might. Ideally, you look at a map, you see which road you want to take, you see where you're going to stay, you see which city you're going to end up in or where you want to end up in California. It's the same thing with trading. It's the same thing with any business. This is a business. Ideally, this is a business, and you want to be treating it that way. So the other question I would invite you to just think about for a minute and take home, and maybe we'll talk about it in a few minutes, maybe do some journaling on what's getting in my way, what's blocking my success. If I'm, if you're fully successful and things are going the way you want, that's great. If you're not there yet, this is a good question. Is it fear? Is it, I have a spouse that's really negative and doesn't like what I'm doing? Do I not have enough time? What is it that's going on for you? So I don't want to work you guys too hard, but I've got another question for you, and that is, what's the biggest trading problem or challenge that I'm facing? What's the thing that, like, day after day I keep making this mistake, even though I swear to myself I'm not going to? And yeah, you can type this into the chat if you'd like. And everyone think of something, write it down if you want. Let's see, selling too soon, cutting my winners too soon, keeping on my plan, panic, wrong stock selection, target trading loss, I buy under resistance, short over support, and before the levels are breaking, selling too soon, broken, I'm not sure what that means. Thank you, excellent. Don't follow the rules. Yeah, these are all the typical things that we all, essentially we all do as traders, right? Thank you, excellent. So let's look at, I have a list of some of the typical trading challenges, and you guys just mentioned a good portion of them. So see if you fit on here, and maybe there's a few of these you can relate with. I'm going to read them through real quickly for those of you on the phone. So fear of pulling the trigger and taking a trade, fear of staying in a trade, fear of taking, there's a lot of fears that we as traders face, right? So focus in on what yours is. Chasing the trade to make sure that you get in. That's a fear of losing out, really. Number 3, impatience, gambling, feeling out of control. Number 4, doubling down. Well, if you have a plan that states you can double down and you have the resources to handle that and you know what you're doing with it, that's fine. If you're doing it just because you're in a bad trade and you don't want to take a loss, that could turn into a disaster if it goes far enough against you, right? Number 5, going past your daily loss limit or not having one. Like, how many of you know exactly how much you're willing to lose in a day? How much you're willing to lose per trade and are really honoring that? This is one of those areas where you can have a, let's say, $100 stop loss and get to the $100 and decide that you don't want to take the loss. You don't want to lose $100, so you let it go further and further. And it's one of those really bad days where the market maybe just drops a ton. And before you know it, I've seen people take a $100 loss and turn it into $1,000 and a $10,000 loss. You can annihilate yourself in one trade with some of these trading challenges. That's why these are so important. Not only to know what you're doing, but to find a way to fix them. Okay, so number 6, disregarding your plan or not having one. Right? If you don't have a plan, you don't really know what you're doing and you're creating it on the fly. Ideally, you don't want to be thinking very much when you're trading. You want to be following a plan like a robot. You want to be doing the thinking when you create the plan. Number 7, revenge trading, trying to get your money back. Some of us have done that. It doesn't always work. Over trading. Have you had a day where you intended to take 3 or 5 trades and you ended up with 50 of them? Most of us have. And then number 9 is something that I really talk about a lot with the people that I work with. And what this is valuing the profit over learning to be consistent, what that means is that you're focused more on, let's say, I want to make $100 or $300 today in the market. And what's important to me is pulling some money out of the market. What I'm not focusing on then is becoming a consistent, profitable trader. Like, do you want to be focusing on taking some money out, or do you want to be focusing on really building a skill that you can use to support yourself for the next 20 years, right? It's like that old adage, give me a fish, I eat for a day, teach me to fish, I eat for a lifetime. And that's how I encourage my traders, is like, get to a place where you really can trust yourself to be consistent. It's not about the money, it's about the consistency over time so you can use it to support yourself. A couple of people are saying that there's no sound. I don't know if Robert or Bob can fix that. Hopefully, can other guys hear?
I'm here. I have sound. I can hear you. It might have to do with their computer.
Okay.
Maybe they have to recall in again.
Okay.
But nobody's been muted.
Okay, good. If you don't have sound, try calling in again. Then thank you. Okay, so what do all of these typical trading challenges have in common? Just think about it for a second. What do they all have in common? They're all challenges of our mind. They're not about the charts. They're not about trading. They're in the mindset. They're the emotional fear and greed and all that kind of stuff, right? And yet, when we have these challenges, what do we do to try to fix them? Well, from my experience, what I see is traders will start to use willpower. I'm going to will my way through this. I'm going to have a fresh start. So on Monday, I'm not going to do any of these bad habits. I'm going to start clean. I'm going to start fresh. It's kind of like if you've ever gone on a diet, right? And you go for 2 weeks and you will yourself not to eat the cookies and the cake, and you do really well and you lose 5 pounds. And then what happens? At least this is what happens for me. Then you blow up and you eat everything in sight and you lose back your 5 pounds, and maybe you gain back your 5 pounds, and maybe you gain back 10 pounds because you didn't get to the bottom of what was having you eat too much, right? You didn't really solve the problem. You just willed your way through it. It works for a while until it doesn't work. And when it doesn't work, for trading, it can spell disaster. How many of you know traders who have, let's say they make $10,000 in a week trading, and then Monday comes and their willpower or whatever goes away, and boom, they lose the whole thing in one day. So we really want to be able to get to a place where we can pull the weeds out, heal the things that are having us do crazy things, so we don't have to try to use willpower. For those of you who don't have sound, well, I guess you can't hear me, so I can't. Maybe someone type into the chat if they don't have sound to call back in. The third thing on this slide that I want to comment on is another way that we might try to fix this for ourselves is start beating ourselves up mentally and getting really harsh with ourselves, like, Monday you really need to do this better, you're doing really, really badly at this. And, thinking that that's going to help us, and that's the absolute opposite of what's going to be effective. And we'll talk about that in a little bit too. So these are some of the ways that we try to solve our problem. Willpower doesn't work. Like I said before, it can fail at any time, just like the diet. It works for 2 weeks and then you're done. You're sick of willing yourself and it doesn't work anymore. So we don't, with the diet, the repercussions are maybe you gain a little weight. with trading in the market and all this money at stake, the repercussions can be really serious. It can be losing a lot of money all the way down to losing your whole account if things get really bad. So we really do want to try to find a permanent fix to the mindset challenges that we're dealing with. So the other way that we tend to try to fix these problems that you guys identified a couple minutes ago, we go into the market and we start changing things in the market. So maybe we go from trading stocks to trading futures, or we go from trading the open to trading in the afternoon, or we do a 5-minute, instead of trading on a 5-minute chart, we go to an hour chart. There's all these different ways that we can change what we're doing in the market. We can get more monitors, a faster computer, we can back test more, even get a new strategy. And not that any of these things are bad. I think that they're actually really good. I think it's important for each of you to figure out what's the best vehicle for you to trade, what's the best time frame to do it on, what really works with your personality. It's really important for each of us to test that for ourselves because we're all different. But when it comes to the market, we can't solve our emotional problems by going into the market. And that's what a lot of us, I see a lot of us do, because it's easier, it's more fun to go look at charts than it is to say, hey, there's something going on inside my brain that I need to face. So the bottom line is that most traders are trying to solve the wrong problem using a solution that's based on willpower, or one that's based on how they're interacting with the market, right? And underneath that, you may not even know what the real cause of this problem is that we identified before. And if you don't know where it's coming from, it's hard to solve it, remove it, and get it out of your way so you can trade your plan effectively. So here's another question that this is kind of taking it to a deeper level and challenging you guys a little bit. And that is, do you really want to know? Do you really want to know what this issue is and what's happening inside of your mindset and your psychology? I mean, you guys signed up for a webinar on psychology, so that's a good start. You have some curiosity about that, right? That's good. But, if you think about it for yourself, close your eyes for a minute and let me ask you this question with your eyes closed. Would I be willing to confront my mindset challenges, i.e. that problem that I identified a couple minutes ago, and would I be willing to work to overcome this, right? Do mindset types of work if I knew I was going to be able to trade well and trade consistently? And the answer to this question may or may not be yes. It's totally up to you. But just to start to think about, let me give you an example of what this looks like. When I'm working with people, I'll have them, even when they're trading, some of the focus, some of the attention is on the market, and some of the attention is on your body and how you're feeling. Are you anxious? Are your shoulders all tight? Is your jaw clenched? What's going on in your mind? And what people start to realize is that they've traded without having any awareness of what's happening in their mind or their body. They're so focused on the market. So step one essentially is pulling back and letting some of your focus be on yourself, not just on the market and the charts and what's happening, because the problems that come about with the trading are problems that are generally inside of you. They're in the psychology, they're in the subconscious. So you have to be willing to want to delve in and look at some of this stuff. And this is where it gets a little bit deeper. So this is what I just said. The real challenge and the way to overcome the trading problems is in our head, and we got to be willing to look at this. So what does this mean and what can you do about it? Let's look at a couple of examples that will make this easier to understand and a little bit clearer. Okay, so let's look at Ron. We'll call him Ron, and this is one of my clients that I worked with. He was a trader for 20 years. He had been trading, and he had a situation where every time he got in trade, he would feel trapped. And I don't know why he traded for 20 years and kept having this feeling, because it wasn't a pleasant situation for him, but I think he just kept trying because he wanted to make it work. But he would have a physically trapped feeling in his body when he was trading, and even if he was in a positive trade, he'd want to get out of the trade just to get relief from this feeling of being trapped. So as he talked about being trapped so many times, we finally had a discussion about, when do you remember being trapped before? And what came up is in his childhood, he had a couple of instances when he was very little where he was physically trapped in a situation where he could have died by another person. They didn't understand what was happening. But that trauma stayed in his body. And what happens, let me just make a comment on this. If you go through like a post-traumatic stress situation like he did where he felt trapped, if there's someone there, like if your mother sees it happen and she can pull you over and nurture you and say, oh, it's going to be okay, and help you process through what just happened, that feeling can go away and it's fine. If that doesn't happen, your body is left with that experience lodged in it. It has nowhere to go. It goes in your body so that you can survive and be okay. So what happens is, bring that 40 years forward into the future, and you put yourself in a stressful situation like trading, and that trapped feeling reemerges, and you have no idea where it comes from. So when he mentioned, when we talked about what had happened to him when he was little, like it was instantly clear to me, okay, he's trapped in the market. He was trapped when he was little. And I talked to him about it, and he didn't get it. He said, are you sure? That doesn't really make any sense to me that 40 years later it would be the same experience. So over time, with us talking about it, he started to get it, and he was able to release that trapped feeling when he was trading. And when you can release something like that, then you're free to trade what your trading plan says, right? So after 20 years of trading and this never having occurred to him that these two things could be related, he started to release it, and he was able to trade much more sanely and was able to get to a place where he became a consistently profitable trader. And I love this example because it's so clear. It's like trapped in the market, trapped when I was little, and it may not make any sense. It may feel like a stretch in your mind that these two things can be related, but this is exactly what happens. And this is part of the reason why trading can be so very hard, because we don't get this. So this is why we don't trade well, and this is why it's hidden, right? These are old hidden traumas that are affecting us that we have no idea are going on. And I say this concept is not easy to grasp, so if you're not fully getting it right now, that makes perfect sense. That's okay, but just to even be open to the concept that this could be going on. Sometimes I work with people for a couple months before they even really start to grasp it, because it doesn't seem like these things should be related, but they are. I have a friend that would always say, the past is the past, it's not affecting me anymore, I want to let it go and not think about it anymore, right? And I think a lot of people think that way. And that's not true. The past is not the past. If the past is not healed, it's in your subconscious, it's in your body, and it goes with you everywhere. And it's not until you can let that awareness come to the surface that you can start to release it and let it go so that it's not affecting you in your current situation. And then finally I have on this slide, our willpower cannot conquer our subconscious. The subconscious is much stronger. So that's going to guide what we do and what happens to us. So let's look at this a little bit more specifically so you know what I mean. So when you go to take a trade, you're bringing your traumas, your beliefs, your hidden memories, your feelings, perspectives, and any other blocks. You're bringing them with you to the trading, right? That was, we just talked about the trauma with Ron. Let's say that you have a belief. Let's say that you grow up in a household where you keep hearing money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work hard. You have to struggle to make a living. You've got to be someone who works hard. And then you take up trading. And let's say one morning you put on a great trade, and in 10 minutes you make $500, right? And your mind's like, oh my God, this is fantastic. I can make a living in 10 minutes every morning, right? And then your subconscious says, no, that doesn't work. The belief in the belief in the subconscious is you have to work hard to make a living. You have to struggle. So what's happening on the outside is not congruent with the subconscious, and you will sabotage yourself, most likely, and start to lose that money. So the solution to that is to start to realize what's in the subconscious so you can bring it up and you can change those beliefs. Okay, it takes some work. It's not always easy or pleasant, but it's so powerful and it leaves you clear of all these things. So I compare it down here. I have TUI, trading under the influence. It's kind of like driving being drunk. You wouldn't want to go out and drive if you've had too much to drink, right? You're going to crash. It's like we're all trading under the influence of all of these unconscious, hidden, subconscious parts of ourselves, mostly from the past, and really without an understanding that we're doing it. So it's, kind of like trading drunk, but if you can get this and you can see this, you can start to become aware of why things might be so much harder than you think they should be when you're trading. So let's look at a second example, and this is Marie, and Marie and I work together as well. And she had been trading for 10 years and was having her own version of problems, not being successful, not really losing a lot of money. She's pretty conservative, but she had a core thing going on. She did not want to lose out on trades. So she was always chasing trades. She did not want to lose out, and I heard that word so often. And as we look back on her life a little bit, and I tend to do that as part of my work with people so I can see what's going on in the whole life, there was a theme of losing out in life, not having what everyone else had, with money and family, and having a husband and friends, and just an overall feeling of losing out. And so, of course, I picked this up right away. You're losing out in life and you're losing out in trades, and it's like this theme. So we bring our losing out theme of life and we put it into the market. And in this case, she was able to really get it and gain an awareness very quickly of what was going on. And in our next coaching call, just a week later, she had released her need to chase trades and to not be losing out because she got where that was coming from. She was able to take that awareness and unravel this situation. So without having the need to chase trades, she was free of that. She was free to just trade her plan and start to become successful. Does that make sense? If there's any questions about this, probably at the end, just write them in the chat because I'll be able to see them more. But I'm happy to answer any questions because I know this stuff is, it can be a little complicated and complex, and I'm trying to make it as most straightforward. But I like this example too because it's like She's losing out in life. She's losing out in the market. And the question is, how on earth could these two things be related? And that's exactly what happened. And this is what happens with all of us. It's just not something that we're normally real conscious about. So again, let's turn it back to you. I want you guys to really think about this stuff in terms of you and get something out of this. Can you think of any strong actions, reactions, feelings that come up when you're trading that could possibly be related to an experience in your childhood? You know, a severe panic or dread, or, you know, whatever it is for you. It's different for everyone, but any emotion that is bigger than what the situation calls for. And I would invite you to take this question home and pull out a journal, a paper and pen, not a computer journal. It's better to get to the unconscious if you're writing. And give yourself some time to really be with this and think about it. And ideally, every day that you're trading, you want to be journaling not only where you got in and how much money you made and you know, what strategy you're using, that kind of thing. You really want to be journaling your feelings. What am I feeling? What does this remind me of? And giving yourself some space to be with yourself, right? I know traders who spend 8 hours a day looking at the screen, right? If you could just parlay one of those hours into looking at yourself and then the other 7 hours looking into the screen, you'll get so much further, because this is where the action is. This is where the solutions to the problems lie. It's in your head. So we want to have a way to start to have that become visible. So the solution, I've talked about little pieces as I've gone, but the quickest, most powerful way to deal with mindset issues is to hire someone like myself, a coach or a therapist or another professional who can help you see your blind spots, help you see from another perspective that you're in what's going on with you, and to encourage you and to hold you accountable and some other things like that. If you can afford this, if you're in a hurry to make changes, if you're open to it, this is a great way to go. And the things that I'm talking about today are all things that you can start to do on your own, or maybe you have a buddy that you can work with as well. And I will tell you the absolute biggest secret, and this is the best thing I'm going to tell you today, so listen up. The absolute best thing that you can do as a trader is to start to become aware of the conversation that you're having with yourself. The conversation in your head, whether it's negative or positive, will be the biggest indicator into how well you do. And here's what that looks like. Let me give you an example of that. So let's say you take a trade, you have a $100 stop out, you get to the stop out and you lose $100. You might say, you know, oh my God, that's my second loss today. I'm never going to get this. I'm such a failure. I'm going to have to find a job. This isn't working. Why can't I do it? You're an idiot. Blah, 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 blah. You might beat yourself up like that. And, you know, think of another person. If you had a spouse who came into your trading office and said that to you every day you had a losing trade, you'd be feeling awful about yourself. You'd be demoralized. So we demoralize ourselves, and from that place we feel so bad, and now we want to escape, and now we want to fix it, and now we go revenge trading and do crazy things because we feel so bad inside of ourselves how we're talking to ourselves. Flip that around and think about, you know, if I have a losing trade and I lose $100 and I'm able to say, okay, that was my second loss out of 3 in my plan. I'm doing really well following my plan. I'm really proud of myself that I took the loss. I'm doing great. And if you're able to talk to yourself in a way that's really supportive, just like if you had a spouse come in the office and say, honey, you're doing so well. That's great that you took a loss and you're following your plan. If you're able to talk like that to yourself, That is the number one biggest, best change that you can do to be successful. I know it may not sound like it, but it absolutely is. And the first challenge with that is to become conscious of what you're saying to yourself. And what I use with my clients is I have them get a digital recorder and turn it on and just talk. The whole time you're trading, just talk. Get the thoughts that are in your head out onto the recorder, and then you can listen to it later, and they can share it with me, and I can listen to it later. And you can start to see the tone in the voice that you use to talk to yourself. And I think you'll be surprised how much nastier it is than you think it is. So that's absolutely the best thing that you can do. I usually mention that in the beginning and I forgot. So real quickly, why coaching? What are some of the results? Well, you can make more money. You can stop losing money. You can get help with eliminating your fears and other debilitating emotions. You can get clear about what you really want in your trading and help to create a trading business, a business plan, have someone support you with that. It's really important to know what you want before you head off trying to create it. You can gain confidence and discipline and belief in yourself and have someone on the outside, you know, even what I was just talking about, if someone on the outside can point out to you how debilitating your self-talk is, because you may not see it, and help you start to turn that around. And you can learn to trust yourself and gain confidence and be happy trading. We can get to a place as traders where the emotion is not there. A lot of traders believe fear and greed is going to be there and you just have to conquer it and deal with it. You can do that, but you know, I would invite you, if you want to be trading for the next 10 or 20 or 30 years, it's much better to get to a place where you can pull those weeds out, heal them, and be able to trade without feeling all that yucky anxiety stuff. And it absolutely is possible. So this is your opportunity for a Turn Your Trading Around session with me. I'm happy to speak with any of you guys who are interested in doing it. It's a 30-minute session. And to get that, you can call me, 619-665-7558, or you can email me, aweiland@yahoo.com. I'd love to speak with any of you. And if you have follow-up questions after this, please feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email as well. And then just as a final slide here, a couple of resources for you guys. I have a LinkedIn group that's specifically for trader mindset if you're interested in joining that and having comments, getting support on anything that's going on with you. Feel free to chime in there. And that's just called Trader Mindset, and that's in LinkedIn. I mentioned my blog in the beginning, Creating Enlightened Traders. You can Google that. It's on WordPress. And thirdly, if you're familiar with meetup.com, I would highly recommend you guys find a meetup group if you like socializing with people. This is such a lonely business, and to be able to go out and get with other traders, have networking, and have speakers come in. I have 3 groups that I've started, San Diego, LA, and Albuquerque. And you can start your own group if there isn't one where you're living. But I've seen friendships grow out of this, people working together, people starting hedge funds together. It's a very powerful way to give yourself some community for trading. So I want to thank you guys so much for being here and your participation and listening, and I hope that this has been helpful. And I want to thank Robert and Lightspeed for inviting me on. It's been really fun, and hope you guys get a lot out of this. Thank you.
Andrea, before you move on, you have a question there from David at 5:12 p.m. Can you see that?
What's the question?
It says, how should I deal with hesitation? My system finds trades, but I'm afraid to take the trade, but this doesn't happen always.
Okay. Yeah, David, that's probably a good question for you and I to talk about in a private session. I don't think there's real quick answers for any of this stuff because some people are hesitating for one reason and some people are hesitating for another reason. So you might just look inside and say, what am I afraid of? Why am I hesitating? That would be a good place to start. I'll try to read through. What is success with students as a percent? I would say to turn traders around so they're actually creating success with their trading, probably about 70%. To help, sometimes I work with people who don't quite get to the full success that they want trading, but they change their lives around in other ways, and that's probably more like 85 or 90%. So it's pretty high. I think you are in my head right now. Are we able to get a copy of this presentation?
Yes, I blasted out to everybody that it's available on our website.
Right.
And I sent that, and there'll be probably an email going out to everybody. I just want to quickly add that I really relate to a lot of what she's saying. I was a professional trader for 25 years. I was a member of the American Stock Exchange and traded for myself. And, you go through your ups and downs, and sometimes I had to make myself do things to clear my head. I would go for a walk by the water. I'd go out and just sit in the sun to clear my head. It's having a clear head and being in touch with what's going on in your head is a very important part of trading, and I hope she was able to get through to everybody.
Yeah, this is really, it's almost just an introduction to start to realize how important this is, and then you can build on it from here. This is a lot of information, and it takes a while to really start to get it, but just showing up today and starting to realize that this is a place that would be useful to focus, I think, is a great start for any trader. So I'll hang around for a little bit if there's any questions. And again, Robert, thank you so much. I appreciate being here.
Okay, I'm going to hang around the background until you tell me that you're done, or if you want to contact people directly, that's up to you. I'll keep it recording, and I'll be here for a few more minutes until you tell me you're done.
Okay, I'm just going to type my, that doesn't work. You made me realize I am a negative thinker, and that's why my P&L is negative. Excellent. Awesome. Pull out a recorder and just record yourself the whole time you're trading, as much as you can get your thoughts out of your head and onto a recorder. And the first and most important part about the negative thinking is just realizing you're doing it and then becoming aware of it. And when you become aware of it, not getting mad at yourself, not beating yourself up, just think, oh yeah, wow, I was just really brutal with myself. Isn't that interesting? Like from a real neutral standpoint, and you can start to change it. It's very changeable. So I love that comment. It's a great awareness. What is your average time of your coaching? I think you mean over time. I recommend 6 months to a year to really start to make changes, and oftentimes that will go into a couple of years. If people like the coaching and the results that they're getting, they start working on other things. I've got one client I've been working with for 15 years. She's not a trader, but she's just been working away on one thing after another in her life. So it's all personal, and as long as the trading is the coaching is supported, people tend to stay. When I get wrapped around the fence post in my trading, I just step away for a couple of days and then I trade a smaller size. Excellent. That's a really good strategy. Yeah, you're protecting yourself. I mean, really, first and foremost, we want to protect ourselves and our accounts. Can we afford you? You know we are struggling traders. Can you not afford me? Unfortunately, when a lot of traders find me, honest to God, it's when it's like the last straw. They're about to quit. They've already lost $100,000. They've tried everything. They're depressed. And I really wish I could find a way for new traders to find me when they still had money and enthusiasm. And the cost of this is so much less than the cost of the losses in trading. So yeah, and I try to work with people on fee if they're in a financial struggle. Great, so I think we got all the questions. So I will be around and available to talk to all of you guys. Such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, everybody. I'm going to stop the recording. Have a great day and shut it down. Thank you.